Now that we have our audio recordings in place, we can start with the IVR. The IVR can be configured in the IVR list. When this is your first time seeing the UCC IVR, it could be a good idea to first see the Ivr Graphics. The Ivr Graphics is a visual representation of the IVR flow. It's a view which reflects your current configuration. In here you can easily see which system files are played in which order. If a call comes in on the main endpoint, an endpoint is a contact you can call in Skype, Teams, or where you can assign a phone number to. It will check if the UCC is open or closed. This is defined in the business hours and the holidays. When the UCC is closed, it will go to the message closed, playing a message, and optional, you can define an action to do after this message. When the UCC is open, it will check if the overflow is active. Per UCC, you can define a queue limit. This defines how many people can wait in the queue before escaping to the message overflow. The default is 999. In the message overflow, you can prompt the customer by telling that it's really busy right now and offer an action to the customer. For example, leave a callback or leave a voicemail. When the UCC is open and there are still places in the queue, we'll continue to do a welcome message. In here you can place a welcome announcement. Afterwards, we can optional play the welcome recording. In Anywhere it's possible to record all sessions or none of the sessions. When the audio recording is active, an additional prompt will be played to the customer, notifying that he or she is being recorded for training purposes. After the welcome message, by default, we'll continue in the question queue, where the customer can say press 1 for sales, 2 for support, or 3 order questions. During the configuration, you can also configure that no questions should be played, only an announcement, and then continue to the queue. For now, let's continue to the actual configuration. In here, we can see the same items we already saw in the Ivr Graphics. Let's start with the message closed. In the message closed, you can define a question. Anywhere uses the following mechanism when playing a message. It will check, is there an audio question? These are the files we just uploaded in our audio files list. If the answer is yes, play that message and skip the text to speech. If the answer is none, then play the text that is located in the question field. If both are empty, the file will be skipped. For now it will play, we are closed at the moment. Optional, you can define an action. These are generic actions you can use on all questions or on selected system items. The actions are blank, keep repeating the message until the customer disconnects. Leave a callback, where the customer will be prompted to leave his or her phone number and be moved to the callback queue. The callback queue is handled after the live queue, which means that only if there are no people waiting in the queue, then the callback queue will be handled. The counterpart is the queued callback, where the customer will still leave his phone number but will be parked in the live queue, and as soon as the customer reaches position 1, we'll start trying to call an available agent. Disconnect. Previous, repeat the menu. Prompt, use an Anywhere prompt. For more information about prompts, check the Anywhere Go Live or contact your sales representative. Go to a skill, which can be any skill, countdown, availability, forward skills. Or leave a voicemail. Each UCC has a built-in voicemail box, which can be used. The voicemail will record the customer and by default save the recording to SharePoint. For now, let's select voicemail. Some new options will appear. You can enter a choice. This will prompt the customer to enter a specific value on his dial pad. Or you can leave the option blank. If you leave the option blank, the call will continue after the message. For now, let's select 1. And you can have an answer. An answer will be played after the customer made his or her choice. We also need to update our question for now. Press 1 to leave a voicemail. With answers, the same principle will apply. Is there an audio file? The answer is yes, play that one. The answer is no, play the text in the answer field. And if they're both are empty, the message will be skipped. Next up, we have the welcome message. This is the first thing the customer will hear when the UCC is within business hours. And here the same rules apply. Is there an audio file? If yes, play that one. If not, play the question. And you can define an action. By default, if you leave the action empty, the UCC will continue with the question queue. Press 1 for sales, 2 for support, or 3 for other questions. In addition, you can skip the whole question queue and go to an action straight away. For example, go straight to support. Or you can select a choice timeout. With choice timeout, it means that we first will play the questions, and if the customer doesn't make a choice fast enough, we'll make a choice for the customer. Let's say if we set it to 10 seconds, it will work as followed. The customer will call, it will play the welcome message, then the questions, press 1 for sales, 2 for support, 3 for other questions, and then wait for 10 seconds, and automatically go to the action skill support. The next message can be welcome recording. If you enable use audio recording in the settings, all conversations over Anywhere will be recorded. The customer will be prompted with this additional message notifying that he or she will be recorded for training purposes. Following the welcome message, we'll continue in the question queue. By default, we already have 3 questions set up. Press 1 for sales, 2 for support, or 3 for other questions. In the question, the rules will apply also. Is there an audio file? Is there text-to-speech? And which action should I do? For example, I can have a 1-level action. Go to skill, inside sales, and it will play an audio answer or a text-to-speech answer. You can also create multiple levels. For example, after question 2, I want some more additional questions. Create a new item, give it a title. We only have 1 rule, and it needs to start with question. Whatever comes after it can be up to you. I personally use the following format. This is question 2, sub-question 1. In here I define that question 2 is the parent of question 2.1, and my new action will be press 1 for premium support. I select premium support and press save. You can also make another item, question 2.2, action, go to skill, press 2 for other support, choice 2, skill, support. In here I can also define an answer, audio file or text-to-speech, and you can also use speech phrases. This first needs to be enabled in your settings. With speech phrase you can also say to or say support. So if I'm currently in this menu and I say the word support, then the UCC will navigate me to this question. At one point in the IVR, the customer will end up in a skill, and this will continue to the waiting queue. There are 2 varieties of the waiting queue. The first one is with a playlist, the other one is without a playlist. Both versions will have the same system messages. The only difference is that with a playlist you'll hear music and hold in between, and without a playlist you'll hear silence in between. The messages are Q1, which is played to the first person waiting in the queue. Q2, this is defined based on your position, which can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and more than 5 persons ahead of you. Q3 is a generic message that everybody will hear after hearing his or her position. Message busy is an alternative message which you will hear when waiting in the queue for a long time. The queue messages will work as followed. In a scenario without music on hold, the customer enters on queue position 3. The customer will hear Q2, then Q3, which is a generic message. A small silence with the setting queue busy speech wait timeout. Then the customer will hear his position again. During these messages, the customer can switch position. So the next time the customer hears his position, you will see Q21. While the customer is waiting, a timer can go off. A setting called queue busy timeout defines that the next message should be the message busy. In here, you can define an escape action, for example, go to voicemail or a callback. If the customer does nothing, the queue busy speech wait timeout will wait again, and then telling the customer his or her position again until the agent picks up. You can also have a variety with the playlist. The messages will work in the same order. The only difference is that the queue positions will not be repeated over and over again, but will only be updated as soon as the customer switches position or when the queue busy timeout has happened. Finally, we have some system messages left, which is the message overflow. Based on the setting overflow threshold, you can define how many people are waiting in the queue. If this limit has been reached, the customer will hear this alternative message, and on here you can define an action. The voicemail message, as soon as you select the action voicemail, the customer will be forwarded to this message, followed by a tone, and then the recording can be stored to SharePoint. In addition, you can also create holiday items, which can be used in the holiday list. To create a holiday item, select Items, New Item, Create Holiday Question. And this unique question can be used in the holiday. For more information about the IVR, check our Go Live. For example scenarios or additional rules you can use.